Here's part 5 of our conversation with Jimmy Rankin. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Canada. Favorite Canadian artists?
Like Neil Young, Leonard Cohen, Joni Mitchell,
Lightfoot. Were you into Stan Rogers? I mean,
oh yeah, I listened to Stan Rogers when I was a kid. I never met him, never saw him live. My sister Raylene saw him live because he used to play in Halifax at the Lower Deck here, or like these venues. I've met Garnet, his brother, at a festival. There's so much great Canadian music. You know, these days I'm not listening to it, but there's a lot of songwriters coming out of the East Coast now that are terrific. You know,
who's Captain Harmony?
Speaking of Elton John, that all of the influences that I drew upon for that record growing up. You hear the piano on it and stuff. That record. It's kind of a composite of different people. I started writing that song in the Cayman Islands, and started writing it about an old sea captain we went out on a boat with, and he was this old guy. He's probably long gone now, and I was thinking Captain Harmony, and then I was thinking about my brother John Morris, who was he was perfect pitch, and if something was
I thought it was about him. By the way, let me interrupt you. I always thought it was about him.
There's references in there to him, but it's sort of a composite of different things, so it's different people, but it started out with an old sea captain in the Cayman Islands.
Well, Tapestry by
I was just reading an article on Carole King the other day. That album is 50 years old. Like, that's a record I would have played the bejesus out of. That's a great record.
Did your sisters have that? I hate to not just.
Yeah, my sister Geraldine brought that home. She was going to university in Maine, and she brought that record home, and it's one that just got played and played and played. And I played it so much when I was a kid, like in my teens, that I wore it out, and now I can revisit it and play it again, because you have those, go back, and its songs are just so well crafted. They're just really great, and the album just feels great. It's like there's magic in that album.
Hold on, what else do we have here? It's like, were you ever a Stan Peters fan? I'm doing a big special.
Yeah, first concert I ever saw live, and I told those guys, I've seen them at like the Junos and different award shows, SoCan Awards. Ron King and Kim Burley. Who's the other? There were 3 of them that tour now.
Rich Johnson.
Yeah, I wanted to go see Miles Goodwin, and I've since gotten to know Miles because he's moved back to Nova Scotia. I wanted to go see Miles. I was so young. My mother wouldn't let me go.
Look at my April wine wall. Hold on. Oh, there we go. April wine wall.
There you go.
Miles signed them all, and Jerry and Jim Clench, who's dead now, and.
Well, what was his first record called? With Could Have Been a Lady on it, Miles.
On record, yeah, that's that one. It's just a record, on record.
Ralph Murphy produced it, and I knew Ralph in Nashville. He's Canadian that moved to Nashville years ago. But Stan Peters, that was my first live show. They had 2 drummers, horn section, big deal.
Oh yes, when they became the big band. Rich had left at that point, and yeah, they became the big band. I saw that at Sinclair Rink in Miramichi. I don't suppose you were ever a Yes fan.
There's probably a record kicking around in my record collection, but not that I would, and they're probably great, but I never, not that much. No, I wouldn't know much about them.
Well, you mentioned Friends a while ago, which, like I said, turns.
Yeah.
That's a highly underrated record because Ray Williams, who put Elton and Bernie together, he was a big part of getting the orchestration done and everything on that record. He's very proud of it. But when you sang that song Friends to me is as strong as anything from back then.
It's a great song. I haven't listened to that record in a long, long time. It's the bulk of my record collection is in Cape Breton, and that's a record that I'll go back and listen to because there was always, for some reason, whatever happened when they were promoting that record, maybe, whatever happened. But I just remember there was some songs on there that were really real gems, and that song I listened to a lot, Friends, yeah.
I noticed John didn't write it, John Denver, but you put Christmas for Cowboys as one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time on this album.
That's a great record, Rocky Mountain Christmas. And that was probably at the time, that record, that was another one that my sisters would have, Geraldine would have taken home from college back at the time.
What was the first song? Afterglow, right? Was it Afterglow, the first song? I forget.
Aspen.
See, there you go.
Aspenglow, yeah. And I found out, I heard it when John Denver was still living, that he was a fan of the Rankins.
Really?
And he wanted to, and he had mentioned the Rankins in interviews and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. And it wasn't until some time in Nashville, we went out to dinner. My brother-in-law, George Massenberg, and my sister Cookie went out to dinner with a guy that either managed Denver, and he told me the whole story. He said, yeah, he wanted to tour with the Rankins, and it would have been such a great fit at the time. But then he wanted to record one of my songs, and he was killed in a plane crash. So
Paul McCartney Ram, did you have that?
I have Paul McCartney. I'm just starting to buy up some of his records, with Band on the Run and that period. But
Gordon Lightfoot, there you go. 1971, One Fine Morning. I had that album.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Chilliwack? Were you ever a Chilliwack fan?
That's Graham Henderson was in that band.
Bill Henderson.
Bill Henderson. Yeah. Yeah, I listened to Chilliwack on the radio. I was never followed them intensely, but great band. And they still go out and tour from time to time, I think.
They do. Yeah. April Wine's first album was released.
Aquarius.
From Aquarius Records with the Feet. That's the album with the feet on it. Do you remember that one?
I probably do. I'm thinking of the record with Could Have Been a Lady and Bad Side of the Moon on it.
Yeah, that's on record. That's that one up here with the just looks like a record. There it is right there. It's just like a record. We'll have more from Jimmy Rankin coming up next week. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Canada.